Today was tell about Sherlock Holmes, the Emerald Crown Story. Chapter 1. A Strange Man. Holmes, I said one morning, come over here to the window. There's a very strange man in our street. My friend, the famous detective Sherlock Holmes, got up slowly from his chair. He stood behind me, with his hands in his pockets, and looked down into Baker Street. It was a cold February morning, and the snow of the day before was on the road. The man in the street was about 50, tall and fat. He wore expensive clothes, a long black coat, a tall hat and dark trousers. He ran along the street, and he looked very worried. His hands went up and down quickly, and his head moved from left to right. What's wrong with him? I said. He's looking at the numbers on all the houses. Watson, said Holmes. He's coming here, I think. Here? I asked. Yes, said Holmes. He's very unhappy about something, and he wants my help. Just then, the man stopped at our front door. There, I told you. Watson, said Holmes with a smile. He's here to see me. Not long after that, the maid brought the man up to our room. Soon he stood in front of us. His head moved from left to right, and he put his hand up worriedly and pulled his hair from time to time. His mouth opened, but he couldn't speak. Holmes took him by the arm and smiled. Please sit down, he said, and he took him across the room to one of the chairs and sat down next to him. You'd like to tell us your story, is that right? You are tired. We can wait a minute, and when you are ready, we can begin. The man sat for a minute or two. Holmes and I waited quietly. Then, when he was ready, the man looked up and began. I look very strange, I know, he said quietly. No, said Holmes. You want to tell me something important, that's all. Why did this happen to me? It's the worst thing, the very worst, said the stranger. Please tell me your name, sir, and then you can tell me your story, said Holmes. Perhaps you know my name, said our visitor slowly. I am Alexander Holder of the Holder and Stevenson Bank of Threadneedle Street. Ah yes, said Holmes. One of the oldest banks in London. I'm sorry, sir, said Holder. They told me about you and said, you must speak to Sherlock Holmes. He can help you. I came to see you at once. I ran from Baker Street Station to get here more quickly. It looked strange, I know, because I don't usually go running. Thank you for waiting. I am ready now to begin. Holder then started to tell us his story. Yesterday morning, I was in my office at the bank when a man came to see me. When I saw him, I was very surprised. He was a very famous man. I'm sorry, but I cannot tell you his name, because he's one of the British royal family. Mr. Holder, he said, people come to you to borrow money, I hear. Yes, they do, I said, and we always give it to them when we can. I see, said the man. Well, I need to borrow £50,000 from you at once. 50,000, I said. Yes, I can borrow that money many times over from my friends, of course. But I wanted to come to a bank for it. It's not good to borrow from friends. After you give the money back to them, they always ask you for things later to say thank you. And how long do you need this money? I asked. For 6 days, said the man. Someone is going to give me a lot of money on Monday, so I can give back the £50,000 to you then. But I need the money now. Well, for the bank to give out £50,000, you need to leave something expensive with us, I said. The man then took out a big black box and put it on the table. I was very surprised when he opened it. Do you know the Emerald Crown? He said. It's one of the most famous crowns in England, I answered. Well, this man took the Emerald Crown out of the box. It's gold with 39 large emeralds, all of the most beautiful green color. He told me, please be very careful with it, and don't take it away from the bank. He also said, please don't tell any of your friends or family about it. He was afraid of a scandal for the royal family, I think. Well, I gave the man the £50,000. He thanked me and quickly left the bank. He's going to come back on Monday morning for the crown. But then I started to feel worried. One night last week, somebody went into a bank not far from us in Threadneedle Street and took £100,000 from the building. I was unhappy about leaving the emerald crown at the bank, so last night I took it home with me. I left work at about 6 o'clock. I closed the door of the bank behind me and I looked carefully up and down Threadneedle Street. In the dark, nobody saw me put the black box under my coat. I then took a carriage back to my house in Streatham. It was, of course, a cold, snowy evening, and the carriage drove along very slowly. There was only one man in the carriage with me, and he didn't see the box. I know. I had it under my coat all the time. I felt pleased when I arrived home. I ran upstairs to my office and put the black box into the desk there. I locked the desk with a key and then went over to the window. Just then, I saw somebody, a stranger, in the front garden. I couldn't see his face. He wore a hat and a long coat. When he saw me at the window, he suddenly walked away. I remember one thing about him. When he walked, one of his legs moved strangely. I then ran quickly downstairs and out into the garden. "Hello, who's there?" I called. We will upload it next part in next video. Thanks for watching and subscribe to our channel.